Welcome to the Double Dribble Podcast with Dubin and Dakil. That's Jared Dubin. I'm Mo Dakil. You know Jared from his newsletter, Last Night in Basketball. Make sure you're subscribing to that. You get all that fun stuff that he's doing. He's doing the season previews, going team by team right now. But also, folks, we're going to have games soon, and you're going to want to be a subscriber to Jared's newsletter. He's always going to have some good stuff in there with all that fun stuff. Make sure you're checking my stuff out on Offside. We have platforms on all the socials, but also you can sign up for our app. Be on the wait list to be the very first to get the app when we release it, because that's where all those videos are going to live. It's going to be a lot of fun stuff. I'm even bringing my dog into it because, yeah, I'm shameless, and I know if I put a dog in a video, all of you will watch more for the dog than anything else. And that's kind of about it. Did I miss anything, Jared?
No, I mean, that's why I bring Bodie into the podcast sometimes, because I know more people will watch it on YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/@DoubleDribblePod. Subscribe on Spotify, Apple, wherever else you get your podcast. Rate us with the 5 stars. Like us on YouTube, whatever else you do on there. And, yeah, we'll keep going with our own season previews here, talk about a little bit about Jonathan Kuminga, and then get into the season, man. It's less than a month until the season starts, 3 weeks till the season starts.
I mean, we're going to have preseason games. What, tomorrow, October 2nd? Is that the first preseason game? And
tomorrow is Knicks Sixers in Abu Dhabi.
Right. That's an interesting one. But let's go ahead and go to the big news. The restricted free agency from hell is over. Jonathan Kuminga has signed with the Warriors to a 2-year, $48 million deal. The Warriors have a team option for year 2, which I think essentially they're just going to rip up. This is, to me, really feels like a 1-year deal. They're just trying to move the guy at the end of the day, and I think that's really what they're hoping for, even at the trade deadline. And I think Kuminga knows all that fun stuff. Jared, what's your take on this one?
It's not much different than when we talked about this potential structure for Kuminga a few weeks ago, right? Like, he gets the additional, whatever it is, like $15, $16 million over what the qualifying offer is. It's not a great deal structure for him, because I know that the reporting from Shams was like, oh, this team option is designed to be ripped up and renegotiated next year. Guess what? If he outperforms the $24 million that he's making this year, they're not going to rip it up. They're going to say, we're going to keep you for 1 more year. Like, the option is always going to work out disadvantageously to the party that does not have the option. If it's a player option and the team wants him to opt in, he's going to opt out. If it's a team option and the player wants them to decline it, they're going to pick it up. That's going to be the way this works. Like, I don't care if you say it's designed to be ripped up and renegotiated next year. Granted, the likelihood of him outperforming $24 million a year based on the role he's going to have on this team, I don't think is that high. So it might actually get ripped up and he just enters unrestricted free agency next summer. And in that case, fine. But I don't think it's the best result for either side here.
No, I think this isn't going to be a great situation. I feel like the way the whole contract negotiations went, it was put a pretty sour mood, I think, on everybody involved. And I think that's going to really kind of leak over into the season, to be honest with you. But we should also note that the Warriors then, they started to do their free agency business on
they have
Sunday.
A real team. They had, when we talked about them, when we were doing the season preview, they had 9 guys on the roster.
Yeah. So now they went and signed Al Horford to a 2-year deal. I think it's a player option for the 2nd year. Then they signed, re-signed DeAnthony Melton, re-signed Gary Payton II, signed Seth Curry to a training camp contract, but I guess with the idea of eventually signing him to a full season deal pretty soon. So, I mean, they've kind of did all their business in one day for the most part, or in a couple of days leading up to camp. My take is, like, couldn't we just done this in, like, beginning of September? Did they have to, we had to really, like, I'm more annoyed with Kuminga. If this was the deal all along, like, and you were never going to take the qualifying offer, like, why did you, I mean, I guess maybe the hope was that some team would come in at the last second with a sign and trade situation, but that was never on the table. There was never a trade out there that made sense for the Warriors for them to do it that wouldn't have them take on more money. So I think to me it was just like, man, couldn't we have just done this earlier? That's really my only take. I'm over it. You went too long. It was a TV series that had no plot towards the end. I wanted a plot twist. We didn't get one. Thanks.
Yeah, no plot twist. I think the idea of waiting was that the media tour that Kuminga's agent went on over the last few weeks was maybe going to pressure the Warriors into going to 3 years or giving him a player option or whatever. Unsuccessful because the Warriors had all the leverage.
Has a media tour with the agent ever worked?
I don't think so.
Okay,
Granted, there's not been that many agent media tours in history.
That's true.
So,
well, all the more reason why it's like, I don't know what we're really doing here with all that fun stuff. I'm tired of it. I'm already tired of the story. I want to move on to our previews. We've been doing divisional previews, and we're towards the end here, folks. We're running down to the final two. And right now, we're going to hit the Central Division. Jared, where do you want to start with the Central Division?
Let's go alphabetical order once again. Chicago Bulls. Significant moves this offseason. Drafted Noah Esinghe. Traded Lonzo Ball for Isaac Okoro. Re-signed Trey Jones. Extended Billy Donovan. Re-signed Josh Giddey in his restricted free agent drama. Over under 32.5 wins. Mo, what are you excited about when it comes to the Chicago Bulls this year?
That's a hard question, Jared. It's so hard with such a mediocre team. I guess what I'm most interested about, I wouldn't even say that excited, but just curious to see how Giddey's shooting continues. You know, we talked about it when he signed the extension. You know, shot really well last year, you know, towards the second half of the season. But, of course, all of those were wide open looks. Is that going to continue? Will defenses begin to now focus a little bit more on him? And will that change things? Like, that's kind of – because I think things start to fall into place a little bit more if Giddey can draw some defenders away from the paint with his shooting. And then that opens up the floor for him, for Kobe White, for everybody else. But, like, there's not much I'm all that, like, pumped for with this team.
I think I can answer the last question of whether defenses will start to come out on him on the perimeter. The answer to that one's no. We saw that with Rajon Rondo when he started making his threes and his deep mid-rangers because everybody was giving him the wide open looks. Nobody ever came out and defended him. They want him taking those looks. He's going to be hesitant. Like, even if he knocks him down, like, you give those up for free in order to choke off the rest of the offense. The thing that I'm excited for is year 2 of Modest Buzelis. Like, I thought he was pretty good last year. He's really athletic. He can do some stuff off the dribble. He can beat closeouts. He's got great size. The athleticism, like I said, really pops off the screen on both ends of the court. I'm excited to see whether he can shoot it better this year. And I just think he could be a really good player, and I'm excited to watch what he looks like in year 2.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of promise with him, you know, with the way he looked, and he was pretty explosive and just kind of ball. He's a ball player. I like him. He's a hell of a ball player. Like, I want to see how it goes. Kind of a slight frame, though. I would have hoped he kind of got. He doesn't need to be swole, but just get a little bit, you know, like eat a sandwich, man. You're in Chicago, man. Get an Italian beef. You know, go see Mr. Bear or Mr. Beef.
On that, my bad. I feel like I cut you off there, but one thing on that I always look at when guys are like skinny and slender is you got to look at the shoulders to determine whether they're going to fill out. I think he's got the shoulders to fill out a little bit and not be quite so skinny. Like, Chet Holmgren is never going to fill out and be like a thick dude. But like when Jason Tatum came into the league and he had the broad shoulders, you could tell he was going to fill out. Like, I don't know if Buzelis will get to quite that level. I don't think he will because it's rare for guys to get to. I'm not talking about the level of player. I'm talking about just the level of like power and physicality even that Tatum has. I don't think Buzelis will get there, but I do think he has the shoulders to get quite a bit stronger.
Yeah, and that's something I'd like to see. And that's like a long process. You know, like that's something like
that's a few years.
Yeah, so you know, to be a little more fair to him in what I'm expecting, I don't think we'll see that this year. Well, we haven't seen it yet. We would have been talking about it nonstop at Media Day if that was the case. Jared, what are you most concerned about with this team?
It's not necessarily that I'm concerned, but I just don't understand why Nikola Vucevic is still on this team. Like, I wrote about this in the Bulls season preview that I did. It does seem like they're kind of accepting reality and sort of soft rebuilding, at least, and pivoting toward focusing on the younger guys on the team. So, like, why is the 35-year-old center making $21.5 million still on the team? Like, he's going to be 35 years old this year. Nobody else on the team, other than Javon Carter, who doesn't play, is older than 27. He can still shoot. He can still score in the post. Like I said, they're kind of rebuilding. So, like, why is he still on the team? I think the answer is because of the new CBA rules. It's hard to trade a guy who makes $21.5 million for anybody, like, on another team that isn't in the rotation, because generally non-rotation guys don't make that much money. And you can't take back more money than you send out unless you get hard capped at the first apron. So it's hard to find a trade for these type of guys unless you're doing a multi-team deal. And, like, who is a Nikola Vucevic away from being the kind of team they want to be? But it doesn't make sense to me that he's still there. So I'm not looking forward to having him sort of just hanging around on this team for a season.
Yeah, I think it's also a product of, like, nobody's wanted him. Like, I know they've been trying to move him. It's just there's never been a situation where they really found a home for him. Otherwise, he'd be gone. I think that's kind of the problem for them. You know, with what they've kind of when they brought him in, they had a different type of team, and we're trying to be something different. And now this is just a product of, look, they were able to get off DeMar DeRozan. They shipped Zach LaVine out last year, and now it's okay. I think they're just going to write it into the sunset with this contract with Vooch, and then just kind of let him kind of, you know, run off at the end of the season. I don't think there's going to be, unless somebody's really desperate for a big, and he doesn't do a lot defensively, that I think a lot of teams would be eager to get him. But it'll be interesting to see if there's anything at the deadline. But I think mostly he's like a nothing factor. For me, what I'm least excited about is just the wings, right? Like, I didn't understand the trade for Isaac Okoro, you know, and getting off Lonzo Ball. I don't understand what they've, you know, the development with Patrick Williams. Like, I just look at them and I just think, like, I don't know what the hell they're doing. You know, it's like I just look at that roster and I just look at the wings, and nothing about it makes me go like, oh, okay, I see where they're going. Because I have no idea what this team wants to be even. You know, and they're lucky they're in the East because they could be mediocre and be fine. But I don't like where they're at.
They want to be not embarrassing. That's like their only goal every year. Like, Jerry Reinsdorf just wants to be not embarrassing and compete to get one of those play-in games and hopefully a couple of playoff games that they get swept out of the first round. That's like the entire goal of the team, is to be like not bad enough that you don't have any chance of playoff revenue. That's like what they're shooting for every year. I don't understand it with the Wings either. I don't understand the Lonzo Ball for Isaac Okoro trade. What does he do that's any better or different than Patrick Williams, who you already had, who doesn't do a lot of what you need him to do? I'm with you. I don't get that at all.
Yeah, it's the Bulls, man. At the end of the day, I'm just like, man, like the fan base deserves better. The league deserves better than what we're getting from them. And it's just like, it just makes it tough, man.
Show some ambition. Like, show some ambition.
You know, I don't have an answer for them. What's the next question we have for them? What are our predictions?
Yeah, what's your prediction for this team?
The same old, same old. Barely gets into the play-in tournament. Will lose in the play-in tournament and be the same Chicago Bulls they've been for the last few years. And it's just going to be boring. Like, there's not going to be a lot of real excitement coming from them. Sorry, Chicago. I wish it was better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think that's the most likely result. It's the most likely result for them every year, because that's just what kind of team they are, and really the only kind of team they aspire to be. I'm going to go 2 predictions. I'm going to say Vucevic does not get traded at the deadline, but gets bought out after the deadline and goes somewhere as a minimum salary guy. And then I'm going to say that Buzelis takes that year 2 step forward, and he looks like one of the better guys from that draft class.
Okay. Okay, I like it. You got two predictions, a little bit positive for the Bulls fans. I came in super just womp womp, but like love it, Jared. Love that. That's kind of the attitude we're gonna bring to it. So staying in alphabetical order, that means we're going to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And Jared, what are you most excited about with the Cleveland Cavaliers?
Let's run through these moves a little bit first. Not
Nice.
too many significant moves, but they re-signed Sam Merrill and Larry Nance, traded Isaac Okoro for Alonzo Ball, extended Kobe Altman over under 56.5 wins. I am excited for another year of Evan Mobley. I think that he took a step forward last year on both ends of the court. I think he can continue taking steps forward, not step forwards. It's like attorneys general or courts martial. It's steps forward, not step forwards. He's one of my favorite guys in the league to watch. I think he has another step in him offensively as a creator, both individually and for others. And I am excited to see if that comes to fruition. I think Kenny Atkinson can get the best possible version of him, whatever version that is. So that's what I want to see happen.
I mean, I'm interested in this team for the biggest reason. I want to see them experiment in the regular season. Look, we saw what they did last year, right? And it was an impressive regular season. Two 15-game winning streaks or more. I don't know how to phrase it properly, but you know what I'm talking about. Two massive win streaks. The way they started the season, I don't anticipate that happening again. I actually don't think they will go all out in the regular season. And I love what they did during the regular season. Unleashed Evan Mobley as a little bit more of a playmaker and a facilitator. I love the kind of Donovan Mitchell taking a slight step back to let guys like Darius Garland cook. And I felt like that really paid dividends for them. But I want to see them do more. I want to see them get in transition more. And I think that's where Lonzo will help them. I want to see them get to the free throw line more, and improve in that area, because those are the things that you kind of want to keep an eye on come playoff time. Right? Like those are factors that you need. And they were kind of a one-note thing. I know there were injuries in the playoffs. I know they were out Darius Garland. I know there was that game where they were out three guys, but they also blew some of those games against Indiana that they should have closed. And I think that was a massive blow for them. I'm very interested to see how this all comes together, because I want to see how they handle the regular season, because I don't think they're going to win the East. And I don't think it's going to be because they can't. It's going to be because they're like, let's screw around with a few things and see what we have. Because I think for a team like this, the regular season is the perfect time to experiment.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. Like using when you're a team that knows not only that you're going to be in the playoffs, but that you're likely going to be one of the top few seeds in the playoffs, using the regular season as a lab experiment to figure out what works and what doesn't, which styles you can and can't play, which guys work together well, which guys need a little bit more time together, which combinations of players should you not have out there together at all. Like, that's the kind of thing that you should be doing. That's the kind of thing that I expect that they will do. Like, they probably won't be winning in the mid-60s games again. Like, I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if they went under that 56.5 wins, but still won 54, 55, and were quantitatively worse, but qualitatively more prepared for the playoffs because they experimented a little bit more and figured out what things look like maybe when they break down a little bit and you have to go into isolation creation mode. Can you figure out how to do that a little bit more than they did last year when everything came super easily for them throughout a lot of the regular season? What does it look like when things get harder?
Yeah, that's going to be the thing that's going to be really fascinating to see just what do they do? I'm just interested to see how they handle that, because they got to do something in the playoffs this year. This is that. We'll get into that a little bit more as we go forward. Jared, what are you most concerned about or least excited about with this team?
An entire regular season of, okay, yeah, but can you do it in the playoffs? Like, we're going to hear that throughout the entire regular season for these guys. It's now been a few years of the same kind of thing where they look very good in the regular season. Last year looked incredible in the regular season. Looked like for a lot of the season they were on track to be, in terms of like point differential and offensive rating, defensive rating, and wins, like, one of the better teams in history. And then in the playoffs, it does not look like that at all. So no matter what they do during the regular season, the reaction is going to be, all right, show me this in May. And I'm not looking forward to that at all.
And that's just the curse of it. They are the prove it to me in the playoffs team. There we always have a few teams that are going to be like, yeah, you got to prove it to us in the playoffs now. Like it's kind of a blessing and a curse, right? When you have such a great season last year but don't finish it, you have that hanging over your head of like, you got to prove it to us in the playoffs and see how it goes. I am not looking forward to just the whole questions of like, what moves are they going to make at the deadline? If they start out slow or don't look like the way they looked last year, by the way, I don't expect them to look the way they looked last year. Was an aberration with the way they started the season, right? Like they came flying out of the gates. I don't anticipate that, but I think we're going to start doing the whole what's wrong with the Cavs situation. What's this? I mean, Darius Garland's probably not going to be ready to go at the start of the season. I think we have, we're going to be kind of this. I'm going to be, and it goes a little bit to what you were saying and you're least excited about, but we're going to hear a lot of stuff. Or are they going to trade Josh Allen? Not Josh Allen. They can't do that. He's the Buffalo Bills quarterback. Are they going to trade Jared Allen? Is that going to be what they're, is that, I'm just going to be a little bit tired of that stuff because I think that's going to happen a little bit earlier than we're also ready for.
Yeah, I think that the what moves are they going to make conversation might not necessarily happen during the season. I feel like it happens if they, go down in the second round of the playoffs again, or if they lose in the conference finals to, the Knicks or the Hawks or the Pistons or whoever else and don't necessarily look all that competitive, or the Magic I should have thrown in there with those teams as well. But I think it comes after that rather than at the deadline, because it does feel like if they were going to make those moves for this season, they probably would have done it this offseason when it's much easier to make those big picture kind of franchise changing kind of moves that it would be if you were trading Jared Allen or Darius Garland or one of those guys. So it does seem more likely to me that it comes at the end of the year rather than in the middle of the season. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you to a degree, but I feel like there's going to be I feel like there's going to be the outside pressure of people. I don't think they're going to make the move. I just think we're going to hear a lot of people, say all this stuff. Some of my complaints, Jared, have nothing to do with the teams, but us, and I mean the royal we of us in the media world, trying to drum up stuff. But what are your predictions for the team this year?
I do definitely feel that there's going to be a lot of in the media. Oh, what are they going to do? And there's another thing too is the fifth man situation, which is something that I've talked about every year with them, and something that I wrote about in their preview. When you have so many options, a lot of times it means that you don't actually have any options, where you don't know who your guy is. Like Bill Parcells used to say in football, when you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. When you have like 5 or 6 different guys that could be your fifth man with your 4 guys, do you really have any? Because you don't know who it's going to be when it's, quote unquote, nut cutting time. And I feel like that's sort of the situation that they're in for the 3rd or 4th straight year, or however long it's been since.
Well, when it's I think they have the answer of when it's nut cutting time, the ball has to be in Donovan Mitchell's hands.
No, I mean, who's the 5th guy on the court with those guys?
Sorry. I kind of missed. Yeah, that was always the hardest thing with us with the Clippers. When we had Chris Paul, JJ Redick, DeAndre Jordan, Blake, it was finding that 5th guy. And we had some guys that came in that were really helpful. It started with Caron Butler. I don't think he was there when JJ was there. But Matt Barnes came in and was that guy for us for a while. But it was like we always needed another level above that,
right,
to really kind of take that off.
The Thunder back in the day where they had, Russ, Serge, KD, and at first they had Harden and Ibaka, but then they didn't have Harden, and it was like, oh, what are we going to turn to here? Is it like Anthony Morrow or Andre Robertson or, all the different guys they had there? I feel like the Rockets, when Chris got traded there, or even before that, they always had a 5th man issue. Some teams actually do have multiple 5th men. When you're the Thunder and you can play Isaiah Hartenstein or you can play Alex Caruso, you actually do have 2 answers as opposed to just needing 1 answer. Most other teams, it's not really like that. But to go back to the prediction, I am going to take the slight under on that 56.5 wins. I say they win like 54, 53, 54, 55 games and do the kind of experimentation that we're talking about and come out of it a little bit more prepared for the playoffs just because they know more about themselves going into that postseason run.
Yeah, so you kind of stole my prediction. I don't think they're going to win the East. I think they're going to finish, second or third because of that. So we have the same prediction. So I know, folks, not the best podcasting. We're supposed to be yelling at each other and screaming at each other like this is First Take, but that's not really what we do anyways. I just feel like
based on that, I think both of us, I guess, have the Knicks as the 1 seed because I think we both took the over on like the 52 or 53.5 or whatever it was for them.
Yeah, and I won't be surprised if a team like Orlando jumps them. And again, it comes down more to, it's not a matter of like, are they good? But more like, hey, we might lose some games because we need to figure out something. I might screw with this rotation if I'm Kenny Atkinson to figure out where we're at. Now, to start out, also, we didn't mention this, it's not just Garland out. Strus is going to be out for a little bit of time as well. Like, they're already starting in the negative in terms of the injury situation as well. So let me change my prediction. I'm predicting a slow start for the Cavs. I don't think they're going to, and that's, obviously, compared to last season, yeah, like if they lose a game in the first 15 games, yeah, it's different than last season. But I think it's going to be a bit of a slow start for them. And then they'll get healthy and find their rhythm and their flow with that.
I do think one other thing to look out for is Atkinson said during their series against the Pacers that they just couldn't extend the minutes of their guys into like the high 30s and 40s because guys were drained. So I wonder if we see a little bit less aggressive minutes management from them this year, where guys are playing 34 minutes a night rather than 32 minutes a night. So it's not as much of a step up when you get into the playoffs and you got to play your guys longer. Maybe we see more of those high minute 38, 40-minute games on occasion in important games during the season than we did last year.
I could see that. So I think we'll see some of that. Let's move on to the Detroit Pistons.
Not a lot of significant moves either because they, unless I missed something, they didn't have an early first-round draft pick, unless I didn't write this down. But they signed Karis LeVert. They signed and traded Simone Fontecchio for Duncan Robinson. Their over-under is 46.5 wins. I'm going to go bring up the draft in case I somehow missed them drafting someone, but I don't think that they did.
I don't think they had a draft pick this year.
No, their pick went out to Brooklyn, Minnesota. Yeah. I don't know what trade that was via.
Don't worry about it. They didn't have a pick. We don't need to keep going into this.
Houston acquired Christian Wood back in the day and a future first-round pick from Detroit. Detroit acquired Trevor Ariza, the rights to Isaiah Stewart, a future Houston second-round pick, and cash considerations. So it's going way back. But what are you excited about for the Pistons this year?
I am very excited about Jaden Ivey.
I have the same thing.
Okay. He is such an X factor for this team. Look, I'm excited for Cade Cunningham. I think Cade's great. I think he's a star. I think we started to see him put it together last season where really, especially in the fourth quarter, he was a monster. And I think there were obviously some problems with how the playoffs went, but like right in the mix against the Knicks down the stretch, I feel like there are opportunities there. Besides the Game 4 massive problem, like they took the Knicks to the wire every stretch of the way, and it felt like they fought them the whole way through. I'm excited for them. But Jaden Ivey coming in, and if his shot has gotten a little bit better, and if he can be another downhill sort of attacker and just you double Cade, he kicks it out to Jaden, and then he attacks downhill off the second side, I think that opens up so much for this team. I'm very excited to see what he does. And he started out the season well last year till he went down with an injury. So I want him to see him healthy for the whole season. And I think he's going to be a massive difference maker for the Pistons.
Yeah, he only played 30 games last year, but he did shoot like just out the 41% from three after shooting basically 34% in his first 2 years, 34.3 and 33.6. He actually, because I wrote this in my preview of the team, one of the three things was about Jaden Ivey's return. He had the lowest shot quality on threes of his career, but instead of underperforming on those shots, he exceeded it by around 3.5 percentage points, and that is a massive swing, but it was only 30 games. One thing I do think, though, is that he changed his release last year. He changed some things with both his gather and his release. His base was a little bit wider. He released the ball from higher up in the air. He didn't have his elbow flared out as much. Like, I thought that the shot looked different last year than it did in the previous 2 seasons, and that's why I'm a little bit more encouraged about that 3-point percentage carrying over. Maybe not quite at 41%, but if he can shoot 37% rather than 34% from 3, I think that makes a massive difference, especially considering the shooting that they're losing in Beasley and even Tim Hardaway Jr. from last year. You know, they did bring in Duncan Robinson, and they brought in Karis LeVert. LeVert, obviously not quite as much of a shooter as either of the guys they lost. Robinson, a very good shooter, but even Beasley somehow got up more threes per 36 minutes than Robinson did last year, when Robinson takes like double digit per 36 every year, but Beasley got up like 12 of them and made 300+ threes off the bench, which is insane.
Let me throw a wrinkle at you.
Yeah.
What would you do if you're the Pistons and Malik Beasley's still out there? And we know the situation there and things. It looks like he's been pretty much cleared.
Well, he's not a target anymore.
Right.
But that doesn't mean he's not involved. And that doesn't mean that he didn't gamble. Like, so to me, if I'm the Pistons, I do nothing.
I got you. Still leave him alone. Not going to touch it. Fair enough.
Until he's fully cleared of the investigation, no wrongdoing, I feel like you can't touch the situation.
Okay. Fair enough. Sorry. Now, let's go into what are we least excited about when it comes to this team.
Oh, that I really have anything that I'm least excited. Like I feel like I have more stuff that I am excited about. Like another year of Asar Thompson defending. I want to see what Ron Holland looks like in his second season. I want to see if the step forward that Jalen Duren took in that playoff series can carry over. Like, there's way more stuff that I'm excited. Like, I guess what does it look like if they don't take the step forward that everybody's expecting from them this year? Like, is there going to be a backlash based on progress not being linear? Like,
right.
I don't know that there's like, I guess I am a little bit worried that progress isn't linear and that they won't take the step forward that everybody's expecting. But in the big picture, that's not that big a deal in the grand scheme of things. They're still so young. Their foundational pieces are still so young. I guess you could say, what does it look like if these guys don't come to an agreement on their extensions? Like, what does it look like if Jaden Ivey is playing out the Jalen Duren's playing out restricted free agency, but that's next summer.
That's not this season. Like, we could have done that with many teams, especially the teams when we're struggling with stuff like this. I have one, and it's really just one because I'm mostly just very excited about this team. I am nervous about JB Bickerstaff, and I wasn't the whole season. I think he's a great coach. I thought kind of got screwed a little bit in Cleveland, but then you see what happens when Kenny Atkinson takes over. But then you see what happens when he took over from Monty Williams, and really kind of exploded this Pistons roster in a positive way. But I'm not going to forget subbing out Asar Thompson in Game 6 down the stretch, and then for a couple of minutes, and then allowing the Knicks to kind of get back into it. And I think that's the stuff I'm kind of, the small little stuff like that has me concerned about. That's a concern for me with this team, and something I'm going to watch is like, how does he handle the coaching of the squad this year, because he is going to be under some scrutiny. There are coaches who can only take you so far. Right. And that's not really fair to a lot of coaches, because they can only take you so far until they take you past that in that sense. But like, you don't want to have that label right now. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how he handles this season with the expectations. They're not going to sneak up on teams this year. They're really not sleeping on the Pistons this year. They know this is a tough team to play. They saw how they acted in the playoffs. Like, they easily could have won that series. A couple of things go their way, 2 or 3 breaks, and then it's all of a sudden the Pistons upsetting the Knicks. And then I would have agreed with everybody to fire Tibbs. But that's a whole other story. But like, that's my biggest concern when I look at this team.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that he's very much a floor raiser and not a ceiling raiser. He's the type of guy that can take a young team and teach them how to play and make them more respectable. And I think he did that in a very real way last year that benefited them a lot. But I'm not sure that he has the creativity or the ingenuity to take them to an even higher level. I think we've seen that throughout his various stops. That, like I said, he can raise the floor, but I don't know if he necessarily raises the ceiling for a team. And the Pistons now, they've established their floor, and I think what we want to see is them raise the ceiling, get better offensively, be a little bit more creative offensively, have some more stuff in your bag that you can go to other than Cade pick and rolls or Cade isolations or Cade post-ups. Can you get Jaden Ivey more involved? Obviously, they didn't have Jaden Ivey last year, but can you get more out of him? Can you get more out of Asar Thompson offensively? So I'm with you. Maybe that should have been my, not necessarily what I'm worried about, but, what I'm concerned about or have my radar up about or something like that, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. I this is just the one thing. It's honestly like I'm excited otherwise for this team. Jared, what's your prediction for the season?
I'm going to go that they finish with either the 5 or 6 seed. I think that New York, Cleveland, Atlanta, and Orlando are kind of a cut above this team. And I don't necessarily see them taking the significant step forward to where they get into the top 4. I think they're more like, I still have them outside the play-in, but outside the play-in in a good way. But I don't know that I see them jumping into the top 4.
Okay. My prediction, they're going to jump into the top 4.
Ooh,
I don't know if I've already put 7 teams in the top 4 in the East, but like I think they will be a top 4 team, and I think they will take another leap forward. I think Jaden Ivey's going to take another step for them and open up doors for them offensively. I know there are some people out there that are actually kind of down on them after the offseason and their, I guess, the lack of a big move. Because I think there's a inkling of, or people kind of pushing for, they should be in on KD and things like that. I think this is the route to go. Let this team grow together. I think they're in the right spot, and I think they take another step forward.
Yeah, I mean, I could, first of all, we're going head to head on this one, and I realize now that I should have been writing down both of our predictions for every team.
Well, you could go back and listen and pull them up if you want.
Yeah, I should do that at some point so we can keep track and talk about how dumb we were. But
I generally just assume I'm dumb, so.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it, clearly there's a chance for them to jump into that top 4 thing. I do think one more thing we should talk about is the shooting, because they did lose both Beasley and Hardaway, and Fontecchio is a pretty good shooter as well. They bring in Duncan Robinson, but it's a little bit of a different kind of shooting. And Karis LeVert is not as good a shooter as they had in that spot last year. And we don't know yet if Ivey's shooting is going to carry over. So that's something that could be like a minor concern, I guess.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. With all that. All right, Jared, on to our next team. And we're kind of doing a good job keeping good pace with this.
Yep.
And of course, I bring up pace because we're talking Indiana Pacers. Jared.
Indiana Pacers. They lost Miles Turner in free agency. They re-signed Isaiah Jackson and James Wiseman. They traded for Jay Huff. They extended Rick Carlisle. Obviously, they will not have Tyrese Halliburton for this season. Their over-under is 37.5 wins. Mo, what are you excited about or looking forward to for this team?
I'm looking forward to Rick Carlisle doing more Rick Carlisle shit. I mentioned this when I talked about the Heat, how this is the perfect Eric Spoelstra team. This team's where it's Spoelstra, no expectations and he'll kill it. I think Rick Carlisle is one of the most underrated coaches in the NBA. I think he doesn't get the love that he should. Think about how much love we give Doc Rivers for winning 1 championship. And we don't really give Carlisle that love.
Some of us give that love.
No, we'll get to that next. But there's I think Rick Carlisle is one of the best coaches in the league. I'm excited for the stuff that he's going to have planned for this team and the roster. And like, I know the situation without Tyrese Halliburton. So does he. And he's not looking at it as like, cool, we're just going to suck this year. He's going to coach his ass off. And I think we're going to see it on the court, and we're going to see this team be better than I think some people are expecting.
He is definitely going to coach his ass off. He is definitely going to have the kind of creativity and ingenuity and whatever else you want to call it to get the absolute most out of this team that you possibly can. And that's sort of connected to what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to what we get from specifically Andrew Nembhard and Benedict Mathurin. I really want to see them stretch their games offensively. We've seen Nembhard in a lot of the games that Halliburton's been out, that he has more to offer than what he generally is asked to do in the games where Halliburton is playing, because why wouldn't you just have the ball in Halliburton's hands all the time, even if Nembhard can do more? And even in the games where, like, he plays differently in the games where Halliburton is out entirely than in the games where where Halliburton plays, but Halliburton's on the bench and Nembhard's on the court. Like, it's just a much different kind of thing. We've seen that throughout his career, so I'm excited to see that. I'm not excited to see it because I don't want Halliburton to be out the entire year,
right,
but I am interested to see what happens there. And then Benedict Mathurin, like, he's going to start. Rick Carlisle told, I believe he told Caitlin Cooper that on her podcast, and I really want to see what we get out of Mathurin in a much bigger role, and in a role where they really desperately need him to be creating offensively, both for himself and others. He was a guy that I loved coming into the draft. He was my favorite guy outside of the top few guys in that draft. Or was he in this?
He was the top 6.
It was the same draft as Jalen Williams, so he was my second favorite guy out of the top few guys.
Okay,
because I love Jalen Williams coming into that draft class too. But he was a guy where I basically said, if this all works out, he's basically like Zach LaVine, and I think we can see that kind of thing from him this year.
I'm excited for him as well. I think that's going to be a lot of fun stuff. Let's just go straight into it. What are you least excited about or most concerned about with this team?
I mean, I just don't want to see a season without Tyrese Halliburton. Like, he is one of my 4 or 5 favorite players in the league to watch, and there are going to be times where it's tough to watch them just because they don't have the engine of everything that makes them who they are. And I don't want to see a season where Tyrese Halliburton doesn't play. Like, that is not appealing to me on any level.
Yeah, it's tough. It's going to be very tough in that situation. It's funny you use engine with Indy. Just, IndyCar. My thought. Sorry, my brain just went weird places. Okay, I'm going to say what I'm most concerned about is where are they getting the playmaking from? That's really my
kind of like connected.
We're connected in that sense, and it's are we going to see Nembhard and Mathurin kind of take that leap a little bit more playmaking wise? Can Siakam do it at a higher level? All of them have to do it at a much higher level than they've done before. Like, there's no way they're going to make up for Halliburton being out. But, like, can they add a little more playmaking to their games? Because that's what I need to see from Mathurin. That's what I'm going to need to see from Nembhard when we go into the season. That's what that team is going to need more than anything else, is the creation and playmaking for other guys. And on the other side of it, too, this is, like, slightly a concern, but more just, like, I'm interested to see. I want to see how Isaiah Jackson does. Listen, they weren't that mad that they lost Miles Turner, because I think they have high hopes with Isaiah Jackson, but with the injuries and things like that, like, we got to see how he comes back and how does he look going into this season.
Isaiah Jackson and James Wiseman are both coming off torn Achilles. That is not great.
I don't count Wiseman.
Yeah, I don't really count Wiseman. You know, I do count J Huff. I'm a big J Huff guy. I'm a big fan. He can protect the rim. He can shoot threes. I wrote about him a little bit in one of the 3 things I noticed on League Pass last season, where he was one of the guys that, like, he would have a block on one end and then a basket on the other end. He was one of the league leaders in that early in the season when he was actually getting like some legit playing time. And that was despite the fact that he was only playing like 12, 14 minutes a game or whatever. But I'm a big fan, and I think he can play some real minutes for them. I'm excited to see, like, I don't know that I'm excited to see what Jackson looks like coming back from the injury, because generally guys coming back from Achilles don't look great. But I agree with you. I do want to see what that looks like for sure.
Yeah. Predictions. What you got?
I'm going to say Mathurin has a big season and gets himself a whole bunch of money next offseason. I don't see them coming to an agreement on an extension because I think he's in a really good position to raise his value pretty dramatically this year.
I like it. I think we're going to see that as well. But I have this team as a play-in team. I think the injury is going to be too much. I think they're not going to have enough playmaking. I think as much as a wizard as Rick Carlisle is and all the fun stuff he can do, there's only so much you can do without your all-star, all-NBA level player sitting in the sidelines. So I just think they're going to have a hard time with that. I think they're a play-in team.
So you probably have the over on that 37.5 wins then, right? Like they probably got to get to like 38, 40 wins to make the play-in.
That was a bit low to me. In the thing, I can't. If you go back and look at this thing, I probably have like 12 teams making the 14 play-in, 8 teams in the top 4. Like it's going to be something weird like that. So don't anybody quote me on these things. And I think that's the. Sorry, my headphone just played a video randomly. Sorry, folks. All right, we're gonna keep it all in, Jared. Keeping it all in.
Got to.
All right, let's go to our last team.
The Milwaukee Bucks. They re-signed Bobby Portis. They waived and stretched Damian Lillard in order to sign Miles Turner. They traded Pat Connaughton and 2 second-round picks for Vesa Micic and then waived Micic. They re-signed Kevin Porter, Gary Trent, and Taurean Prince. They signed Gary Harris, Cole Anthony, and Thanasis Antetokounmpo, which meant that Giannis Antetokounmpo is sticking around for at least a year. Their over-under is 42.5 wins. Mo, what are you excited about regarding this Milwaukee Bucks team?
Giannis. Just always fun to watch Giannis. Plain and simple. Like, he's just fun to watch. It's nothing more than that. I don't think this team is going to be particularly good. I think he's going to carry them a large portion of the season. And for me, it's just Giannis. That's all I got. That's the only thing I'm excited about, Jared.
He's going to have to carry them for a large portion of the season. Like, this is going to have to be an all-time Giannis season in order to drag this team even to the play-in, I think. Like, it's got to be, and granted, he's like 30, 12, and 6 every year, but it's got to even be somehow beyond that because the rest of the roster is not great. We've talked about that several times before. I do want to see what Miles Turner looks like in a different situation, and I want to see what that Giannis, Miles Turner front court pairing looks like. Like, can it be what, Giannis and Brook Lopez was a few years ago, but maybe a little bit more dynamic because Turner has more athleticism than Brook Lopez did even a few years ago when he was sort of at the peak of his Milwaukee years.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good one there in terms of how is he going to kind of open things up for them a little bit more athletic is a nice touch. I just can't get excited with the Turner thing, just knowing that they waived and stretched Dame with it. And just knowing, like, the long-term ramifications. I know it's just a season preview, but for me, it's just like, I just can't see him without seeing that and going like, God damn, dude, you better kill this season with the weight of the Dame contract on top of your contract on you. So I just think that's that stuff. What I'm least excited about or most concerned about, their defense, man. Like, they're just perimeter defense. I don't understand what they think they're going to do defensively across the board. Like, I just think it's a massive issue for them. I don't see leaps from any of these guys defensively. We know Doc's not going to play any of the young guys, so it's not like we're going to see a lot. Like, I just don't like where the team's at defensively.
Yeah, I mean, you do have Giannis and Turner on the back end to sort of clean things up. Turner's rim protection has sort of waxed and waned during his career. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not so great. You never really know what you're going to get. Obviously, Giannis is probably not the best help defender in the league anymore because Wemby exists and he's an alien and even more of an alien somehow than Giannis, but he's still up there with the best help defenders in the league. The perimeter defense is going to be an issue. Like, I don't know how they're guarding lead ball handlers. I don't know how they're guarding the best wings in the league. That's going to be a problem for them, absolutely. Sort of connected to that, I am not looking forward to / I'm very worried about their guard play. Do you know who the guards on this roster are? Like, it's
It's
bleak,
bad.
man.
Read the list.
Cole Anthony, AJ Green, Gary Harris, Andre Jackson Jr., Kevin Porter Jr., Ryan Hollins, and Gary Trent. Like, that is rough stuff. And I think Doc said either yesterday or the day before that Kevin Porter Jr. is going to start at the point, which is where they went at the end of the playoffs last season, once Dame was out. But we've seen what that looks like. This guy takes more off the table than he brings to the table himself. I get that they need a ball handler and someone who can create shots, but man, it is ugly on the other end of the court. His shot selection is atrocious. You don't want the ball in his hands as often as the ball ends up in his hands. You don't want him taking as many shots as he ends up taking. Like, that experience is not good. And the Bucks are sort of willfully buying into it. Like, their best guard option is probably AJ Green, just because of his combination of shooting and defense. But he sort of fell out by the end of that playoff series last year, and then they brought in more guys to play ahead of him. So, like, how much is he really going to play? Same thing with Ryan Rollins, who looked like okay, showed some stuff when Dame was out toward the end of last season. But again, they bring in Cole Anthony, they bring in Gary Harris, they bring back Gary Trent. Obviously, they bring back Green as well. They still have Taurean Prince hanging around, who isn't really guard, but kind of has to play guard for them. Like, what are we doing here with this group of guys?
Well, the rotation sucks. Like, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. The rotation sucks. That's why it's all on Giannis. And that's why I just look at, again, the team, the aspect of what they've done for the team building is just abominable. Like, I don't know any other way to say it. Like, it's when you look at this and you go like, okay, each year we've been losing guards. We thought Dame would fix a lot of things. That didn't work out. That pairing didn't work the way we thought it would. You know, the Giannis and Dame pick and roll. And I think Giannis has a lot of responsibility in that, as well as Dame. But across the board, like, I just look at their guard rotation. Again, that's why I go like, it's all on Giannis, man. And God help you if he misses a couple of games. Like, you're in trouble if he's out for a stretch of the season. So, like, it's really going to be a problem for this team. With the situation,
he's been, you know, the picture of health over the last few years.
No, they're in a tough spot, man. They're in a tough spot. So, I guess people can guess where my predictions will go. But before we do that, your predictions.
I'm taking the under on the 42.5 wins. I can't see it. This team is not good. Like, Giannis, obviously, all-world, top 5 player in the league. You can make an argument that on his best days, he's the best player in the league. Like, obviously, Jokic has that crown right now. Shea, pretty damn close. Giannis, when he's at his best, is at that level as well. But the rest of this roster, so bad. I just can't see them winning that many games.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this is a, at best, play-in team. Like, I don't see a scenario where they're going to be that great. I don't know how great Turner's going to be. I don't know if he's going to live up to their expectations of what they need. It's a lot of pressure for him. I'm just not excited about this team, which sucks because it's Giannis. You want to be excited about Giannis. I'll go with one super crazy hot take that's not really going to happen. I think Giannis demands a trade in January. I don't know if a trade happens.
In January?
I know you just rolled your eyes. I think he goes through the first quarter of the season, looks around, and goes like, we suck. I don't know if they'll get to a trade because it's hard to move a guy like him in the regular season.
Right. That's what I was going to say. Like, I think he gets there next offseason after they're bad. It's too hard to move a guy like him in the middle of the year.
It's hard, but like, I think or at the very least, we always hear the rumblings. We hear the rumblings now, so that's a useless prediction on mine. That's just a side prediction. My real prediction is this team's at best a play-in team. Jared, that's it for our Central Division preview.
I see that you're trying to get out of here before we do the college football.
No, I'm not actually. I'm not, Jared. If you want the honest truth, I'm going to eat up a lot of that time. But you go first, And then I'm going to eat up a lot of that time.
Bye, so there's not much to talk about from last week. But Florida State lost to Virginia and ruined the potential top 5, top 10 matchup that we were supposed to have this week. And no college game day going down there anymore because they lost to Virginia in overtime. So now we got to go just beat their ass in Tallahassee, and that's it.
The Virginia-Florida State game was a fun-ass game, though, on Friday night. I know you were pissed because you wanted Florida State to win. But the
out of here. I didn't want them to win.
You wanted this great game. You wanted this matchups. You wanted this.
I never want so like I'm very strange when it comes to fandom where like I don't really hate my opposing team's rivals. Like I'm a Yankee fan. I don't care about the Red Sox. Like my dad despises the Red Sox, despises the Mets, despises all these teams. My dad I don't hate the Celtics. I don't hate the Sixers. I don't hate the Nets. Like I don't care that much. They don't really affect the Knicks except in the games they play them. I hate Florida State so much, and I want them to lose every single game.
Okay, well, fair enough that you were happy, and there went your big matchup there. I'm just going to go through real quick. SC lost a nail-biter against Illinois. Look, it's the thing that frustrates me with this one is we came back, like, in this game. And it was a gutty performance. We scored with 2 minutes left. And I'll ask you this, Jared. Did you watch the game, or at least you know what happened in the whole thing?
I know what happened. I didn't watch. Like I wasn't watching. I was watching my brother's Indiana game. I was watching.
Okay, so like I'll just do it real quickly. The rundown. Illinois was killing us. Our defense was awful, right? And we have food poisoning across the board. Our top safety was out with food poisoning, all that stuff. Excuses. I don't care about that stuff. Like, it was an excuse. We'll leave that out. But like every first down, they got 5 yards. So it was always 2nd and 4, 2nd and 5, 2nd and 3. Like, we were screwed. We were always on our heels all game. We come back and win and take the lead 32-31, but score with 2 minutes left, which then leads to this massive debate. And SC fans are all pissed. Lincoln Riley left too much time on the clock. They had their 3 timeouts, all that stuff. I'm going to be honest with you. You take the score when you could take the score. Like, I'm not mad at Riley for that. And if we're going to be the team that we say we're going to be and all this stuff, you come up with the stop in the last 2 minutes. I don't want to, because like here's how this plays out. He goes super conservative, tries to milk clock, and then we don't score. And then everybody's upset. Everybody's pissed. Everybody loses their shit. Like it's a lose-lose situation for him in that moment. It was a great play that we scored on. Right? Like Mayava to Lemon off of a beautiful pass. Lemon, absolute beast in that game across the board. Awesome. Our defense just was not up to par. We got only 1 sack. We've been leading the nation in sacks going into the country. We were tied with somebody going into it. Illinois. And the other thing, too, that killed me, Jared, and I knew we were in trouble. I knew we were in trouble the moment Illinois got their ass kicked by Indiana. Because I was just like, hell. If at least it was a close game and they lost, I'd have felt better. The moment it was an ass whooping, I'm like, we're fucked. I had it.
I'm with you on the time stuff. Like the first goal is to score. The second goal is to worry about the clock.
So it's like everybody's super upset about it. I'm a psycho. I'm on the USC message board. And they want to fire everybody.
Get a stop is the answer.
That's it. Get a stop. That's it. Just get a stop. That's it. At the end of the day, just get a stop. We have one of the highest paid defensive coordinators. I don't want to hear the excuse of guys were sick, all that stuff. I understand it. That's fine. I'm not one of these dudes, fire the coaches, because that's all they were about was fire the coaches. It's just
football fans, every time a team loses, it's fire the coach in college football.
It's just ridiculous. It's absolutely annoying. Anyways, we have a bye this week, and then we have a tough gauntlet because we have Michigan at home, and then we're at Notre Dame.
Oof.
And I'm going to put it out there now. I'm going to say it now on October 1st. We're beating Notre Dame in Notre Dame this year. That's what we're doing. Thank you, folks, for listening to the Double Dribble Podcast.
Double Dribble.
vehicle.